And good morning and welcome to Bowls.tv, coming to you live from the East Coast, 9 a.m. weekdays. Sometimes we're live, sometimes we're half alive. Today we're fully alive. It's a nice day, New York City, bright sunny skies, nice cool weather, windows are open, you might hear some sirens passing by. Gets a little hot in here with all the lights on and the heavy jacket. Merch store. bowlsbooks.org/merch. A lot of things going on in the news today. Some things are dismaying. And some things are just part of the way the world works. And we're going to get to it all right now. But first, I'm going to show you our new emotes. As you may know, we are no longer Bowls Books as a username. Here on your live stream, we are now just Bowls TV. BOLES TV, no dot, on Twitch. But if you're on the internet, you can type in bowls.tv and come right here every day and see us. And if you watch our live stream at 9 a.m., it's free to you. You'll get a little bit of advertising, because Twitch has to pay for their streaming somehow, bandwidth somehow. But if you want video on demand, or to watch this replay at your leisure, or to watch all of our old shows, then you need to get a subscription. Just click on the purple subscribe button and you'll get more. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to this channel for free for a month, and then you renew for a month until forever. Or you can just be fancy and go month to month, buy 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever you decide. And that gives you full access and no advertising whatsoever. Well, part of this getting subscribers and moving up to affiliate is you can have special emotes that we as the channel owner can offer you as our loyal and faithful viewer. And we have some new emotes to share with you today, and I'm going to do it right now. Just because we can. And if you are a subscriber to this stream, you just click on our little icon in the bottom in the chat where the smiley face is, bring up the emoticon thing, And you too can have interesting images like this. Now, last time I could fire all of these at the same time. I'm not even sure what this one is. Angel Thump. I didn't even know I had that one. Maybe I'm clicking on the wrong button. There you go, if you have Amazon Prime. I'll show you some of the newer emotes that we were able to add yesterday. One of them is this one from Jana Marie. It's called an animated emote, and you get it if you're a Tier 1 subscriber. And as you can see, her face is changing colors. It's this beautiful black and white face. Merch store, bowlsbooks.org/merch. But it's animated with different colors going across her face, like a filter. I didn't do that, Twitch did that. Twitch offered me to do that, and I said, okay. And our other animated emote is my beautiful screaming face, which I've showed you before, but you can't get enough of it. So we'll just go, hiya, and there I am. You get all that if you're a subscriber. Can you imagine being in chat and having all this fun and putting up special emotes that delight and thrill you? Okay, I'll take it. And here's the other emote we were able to add recently, yesterday, to Tier 1 subscribers for our emote. This is the beautiful and always terrifying Jana Marie Halloween face. She is a dismantled butterfly. I think it's rather delightful and fun, but what do I know? I'm almost live. I like to think I'm alive, but who knows? So those are our new emotes. You can play with them if you're a subscriber, right here in chat. And speaking of the always delightful Jana Marie, she sent me this wonderful video from right here in the building from which we broadcast. This is from the lobby. This is a lovely holiday sighting. You saw pumpkins last month. Now we have poinsettias. Some people say poinsettias. I believe it's poinsettia. And she's walking along, just making your day bright and happy and cheery with beautiful red flowers. And you can hear some of the sounds of the city. There's our lobby, all decorated for the holidays, because today is December 1st. It's the countdown. I hope you have all your gifts ready. It's going to be a wild and interesting ride. Well, in addition to that, as you know, the past few days I've been talking about the Beatles and the Beatles documentary. Parts 1, 2, and 3 now playing on Disney+. And as we know, the Beatles were about making music and also about making money, especially Miss Yoko Ono, who seemed to be obsessed with making money off the Beatles, even though she wasn't a part of the band. Well, Paul McCartney has a daughter named Stella McCartney, who is a designer. And she has all vegan clothes, no matter what. They're all vegan, all safe, not made from animals, no fur, no leather. And this just came out this morning from Stella. This is her new Beatles collection. And other than being a beautiful designer, Stella McCartney, Paul McCartney's daughter, charges you a lot of money. So you can see most of the things on this page are $1,000. So she is a high-end designer. These things are beautiful, but they're not for probably you or me. But it's beautifully built. Very nice. I like it, but I can't afford it. So that's $1,000, right? Yeah, $1,100. So that's the top, but you don't get the bottom. The bottom's separate. Another $1,100. You can get a tote bag for $750. The Get Back bucket hat will only set you back $350 in your bucket. The Get Back Satan Bomber jacket is $2,780. This is the main thing they're advertising. Let's take a closer look at that. The BOs. I'm trying to figure out where we aren't able to... Oh, we can zoom in. Okay. Nice. Get another look at it from a different side, I think. Okay. It's a lovely jacket. Who wouldn't want to have a jacket like that? Well... Probably $3,000 delivered, right? Sergeant Pepper. And his Lonely Hearts Club Band. You can get the pants for $775. The Get Back hoodie, only $825. The Get Back t-shirt, $395. The Get Back panel knit coat. Who doesn't want that? That'll keep you warm in the New York winter, right? Only $2,000. Get Back jumper, $900. A silk scarf. Now, I don't think it's really silk because silk is not vegan, but it is $350. Would you like some socks? $100, please. Now, if you want to get some color in your life, $625 for this beauty, $550 for this one, $695 for a Get Back sweatshirt. But notice the top and the bottom are sold separately. They are not sold as a pair. So if you want the whole thing, you want the top and the bottom, what, $1,500? And I love the colors. I love the design. I just don't know who she's selling this to, but all of her things are very expensive, and she's been in business for a very long time. So obviously there are people who are buying the exclusivity of it all. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you can sell it, sell it. That's just lovely. I like tie-dye things, as you know, if you've been watching this stream. But I don't think I like a tie-dye hoodie for $895. All these high-end models always look so sad. It's like, why am I wearing this? What am I doing here? I'd rather be at the club dancing. Get Back and Don't Let Me Down. So yeah, a little bit of Sgt. Pepper, a little bit of Get Back. It's all the Beatles from Stella. And she's doing wonderful work. I just wish her work were maybe a little more accessible to people. A lot of young kids who'd love to have this. A lovely woven Beatles shirt. Sweater. But who can afford that? $1,400. Money isn't everything. But money is definitely something. So if you have the money and you're looking for a Beatles something for the holidays, pretty nice stuff. Looks like Octopus's Garden to me, but I'm sure I don't know what that is. Well, we go from fun to sad but deserved. Chris Cuomo is out at CNN. For how long, we don't know. But the things he did are probably not really appropriate. His brother was the governor of New York City, and together the two of them, some believe, colluded to help get his brother off of these sexual harassment charges. And the saddest part is these documents, which were recently revealed and released as part of the investigation against Andrew, Chris's older brother. The documents, which we were not privy to before the public release, raise serious questions, a spokesperson said for CNN. When Chris admitted to us that he had offered advice to his brother's staff, well, he broke our rules. And we acknowledged that publicly. Well, they didn't really. They knew that this was a conflict of interest for a long time, and they let Chris sit there on the air and perpetuate. Finally, he was pulled off the air, only because he had to be, not because it was appropriate. But we also appreciated the unique position he was in. His brother was a governor and understood his need to put family first and his job second. However, these documents point to a greater level of involvement in his brother's efforts than we previously knew. As a result, we have suspended Chris Cuomo indefinitely, pending further evaluation. Now, can Chris Cuomo come back from this? I don't know. They say he's a big star. He has a big slot on CNN, 9 o'clock. Eastern at night, right? And now he's been removed. Will he come back? I don't know. Might not come back. Also in the news, nothing really new. Another shooting at Oxford High School in southeast Michigan. Calling it a rampage. 911 calls came in just before 1 p.m. Officers responded to the scene within minutes, arresting the gunman who shot 11 people, including a teacher. We don't know why. We don't know why he went crazy and shot all those people. However, the gun, a 9mm pistol with 15 round magazines was purchased by the suspect's father last week, 4 days before the shooting. Well, isn't that convenient? Well, I'm dismayed. I have problems. I don't know how to cope with them. I wonder where I might find a gun to see if that will solve my problems. It's just a little bit disappointing, and perhaps a lot shocking. Authorities identified the students who were killed as 14-year-old Hannah St. Juliana, 16-year-old Tate Meyer, and 17-year-old Madison Baldwin. 3 of the wounded teenage victims, 2 girls and a boy, were in critical condition on Tuesday evening. 1 student was in serious condition, 3 students were stable, the 47-year-old teacher was released from the hospital. Now my question to you now, and ever since Sandy Hook, is this. What are we going to do about this? And we already know the answer. Nothing will be done, because really, when it comes down to it, nobody cares, except those who were close to the people who died. That's it. I've resigned myself to that fact in America. That America is in love with the gun, and even more enamored with the bullet. And life is cheap, and people move on from who they are and what they want to become. And that is the fate of living in a modern world. You gotta watch your back and you gotta watch your front, because something's coming for you. And if the slaughter of kindergartners in Sandy Hook is not enough to get politicians to step forward and say, this is enough, let's find a way to protect our schools from these people who get guns, then nothing will ever be convincing enough to get this solved. So I guess we just have to live with it. That there are people around us who go into schools and shoot kids. That's the life we lead. That is the life that we want. Because if we didn't want it, it wouldn't be happening. Twitter made the news yesterday. With a sort of indefensible new policy about protecting people's privacy. And you read about this and you think, how is this going to really work? And it's a long policy about we're going to protect people. You can't dox people. You can't reveal where they live. You can't put their phone numbers on your Twitter feed. But the most important part of it appears to be that you cannot post photos, images of people if you do not have their express written consent to post that photograph. If I'm understanding the policy right, it's a little confusing. And this is all in the name of safety. So this feels a lot like TSA drama, where we go to the airport, we pat you down and make you take off your shoes, and if we need to screen you more deeply, then we really pat you down in private, and you take all your shampoo out, and if it's in too large a bottle, then you have to throw it away. That's called safety theater. And I get the feeling this is kind of what Twitter is doing too with their theater, by disallowing images of people. And this is what Twitter says. Sharing images is an important part of folks', not people, folks' experience on Twitter. But people should have a choice in determining whether or not a photo is shared publicly. To that end, we are expanding the scope of our private information policy. Well, that's interesting, but what do you do about people who are in a crowd or in public, and you're taking a picture, and they happen to be there? What do? You take it down? You blur their face? You don't know who they are because it's in a crowd, at a basketball game, a football game. You're going to blur out the entire crowd? I guess so, according to Twitter. Because if someone happens to see themselves in your photograph and they don't like it, they contact Twitter, and Twitter will remove your tweet. I think they take the whole thing down. They just don't remove the photograph. They take your tweet down, your memory down, and remove it from sight. And some people says, well, that doesn't. Who cares? Because Twitter is ephemeral. You post a tweet, and 15 minutes later it's gone and forgotten, and nobody even knows it's there, which is true. However, as we know, politically, tweets can be very powerful and very impactful. And you can do searches on previous tweets and see what people said and hold them to it and be woke and punish them for thoughts and feelings they had 10 years ago. So there is danger in the removal, I suppose. So beginning today, I think that was yesterday, we will not allow the sharing of private media, such as images or videos of private individuals, without their consent. Publishing people's private info is also prohibited under this policy, as is threatening or incentivizing others to do so, and the same. So let's take this to the next step as we play with this intellectually and perhaps even emotionally. This Twitter policy. The Michigan shooting yesterday. There were kids who were filming, videoing, sheltering in place, hiding from the gunman. Okay? And classmates are in the video, and it's posted, hey, we're inside, posted on Twitter, hey, we're inside this room, the gunman's outside, there's a bullet through the door, send help. All right, that's newsworthy. That's interesting. That's part of the historical record. But there are people in that video who, for whatever reason, may decide, I don't want my face in your video. So later they see, hey, remember that famous video from inside our classroom? My face is in it, and I don't want to be in it. So Twitter, take it down. And as I understand it, it seems that Twitter would take it down, because someone who did not get permission to post the video of them locked in your room with a gunman outside. And does that, I guess that one person can overrule the value of that experience or the value of that as a news item. Even if everyone else in the room says, yes, put it on Twitter, get it out there. We want to be safe. We want this to be part of the historical record of what happened to us in case we all die. And one person can say, nah, you know, my face is there, so take down the whole video. Now we go to the next, even wackier extreme of, let's say, an attacker bursts into the room, gun blazing. The kids are videoing the person as their last testament to what they saw before the bullet entered their brains. And before they die, they click send, and it's all over the internet. Photographs, images, video, on the internet, on the Twitter. And later, after the suspect is caught, brought to justice, locked up, through his lawyer, he goes to Twitter and says, you know, all those videos and photographs of me shooting everybody, I find that a violation of my privacy. And I want you to remove them. And as I understand it, that is the Twitter policy. The murdering gunman doesn't want his face and his video on Twitter, so Twitter will remove it. Doesn't matter if it's part of the news, doesn't matter if his kids were killed who were videoing him. Take it down. Murderers have more privacy than you do, dead in your grave. So these are things we should think about moving forward in our lives. And now I see we have a hard break coming up with some advertising for our live stream folks. And so when that happens, I like to push the button to start the ad myself so no one misses anything. I will take a brief blood pressure break as the ads run. I will click the button, and I will see you momentarily. And we are back from break. Thank you for being here. Live on Bowls TV. It's 9:30 in the morning on the East Coast, and we are here with you every day, Monday through Friday, streaming live, talking about the world, investigating what makes us work as human beings, and checking and testing the veracity of our moral soul, which I believe has nothing to do with religion. Morality, the soul, not religious. So what else is in the news? I was sent this very interesting piece of information yesterday that I'll share with you now in the interest of being interesting. These are gifts for the blind and visually impaired. Now, some people say, well, I'm not blind. Well, you might have vision problems. You might have pre-glaucoma like I do, and you don't know what's coming for you. You might have friends who don't see well. And these are gifts from the Braille Institute that you can purchase and give to people or donate them. And I say, why not? Holiday gift list for the blind and visually impaired. Okay, a world of free books. The Fire Tablet 7 is an affordable way to enjoy our Braille audio recording and reading. The Bard program, offered by our library, so patrons can digitally download audio and e-Braille titles for free from an extensive collection. And when we first moved to Washington, D.C., we had a friend, and his job, his only job, really, was reading books for the blind. And I think he would go in 3 times a week and just sit in a room with a microphone and read from page 1 to the end of the page of the book. A book for the Braille, for the blind. And that's what he would do. He would read audiobooks. And this is in the early 80s, mid-80s, before there was an Audible or readers or anything like that. You had to have someone, otherwise you used to get these really thick books that were transcribed into Braille that you could check out from a library and read the books and then send it back, get it back. But they were big, unwieldy things. And these books on audio made a big difference for the inclusion of blind people in mainstream America. Assistive technology, more Amazon stuff. I guess these the Echo Dot devices have been described as life-changing for the blind and the visually impaired. Using voice commands, you can tell Alexa to do a whole host of things, such as set a reminder or make a phone call. Okay. Helpful. A large print keyboard is one of the most practical gifts anyone with visual impairments can receive, and one they will likely use every day. Now that's very nice, right? You can see the colors in the large print compared to a regular keyboard. I like that. The letters are very big. And so are the numbers. Bringing people together. Holidays are all about bringing people together. And one of the best ways to do that is playing card games. Large print playing cards. So this could be anyone who just has low vision, can't see very well. Why not have a big thing with the cards? And no one's paying me to do this. I'm not asking for them to pay me. They didn't send me anything. I'm just sharing with you what I have found. And large print playing cards enable those who are losing their vision to keep playing bridge and poker and other card games they love with those they love. Okay, there you go. Big. And right there, you can see, right in the corner are the Braille dots telling you what card it is. So it's for low vision and blind. It's very nice. Tell the time. Talking clocks allow those who are blind and visually impaired to hear the time with the simple push of a button. A talking watch is also a great option for those who want to keep time on the go. And that's kind of mainstream now, where you can, ask Siri or ask Google or ask Alexa, what time is it? And they will speak the time to you. I had a friend in New York many, many years ago who had a Braille watch. And he was not low vision, although he didn't see very well. But he drove, he was functional, he was fine. But he told me driving, he has to have on his driving glasses to see far and to see how fast he's going. But he drove an older car, and he couldn't read his wristwatch to see what time it was. And to him, time was very important. So he bought a Braille wristwatch that he could, and the wristwatch, you tap a button on the side, the glass flips up, and you can feel it with your finger what time it is. Apple Watch is now even better for that kind of thing. And he had trained himself to find the numbers on so he could feel what time it was on his watch, even though he was sighted. And then later, he bought a new watch that he called a speaking watch. It was a digital watch with the old LED readout, but there was a button you could push, excuse me, and it would speak the time to you. It is 1:01 p.m. Very basic, very rustic. This was late 80s, but it served its purpose. So sometimes these assistive devices are not just for those in which they are intended. They can help more people than you think. Cooking without looking, large print. Measuring cups and spoons on Braille measuring cups and spoons are great for the skilled chef or someone who's just starting to cook, who has vision impairment, as the large print allows those with low vision to see the numbers. Braille cups and spoons allow them to feel the amounts. Very nice. Very helpful. I like big print. I like big fonts. I like big pixel sizes. I like everything big because it's easier to read. And I was teaching at a Catholic university about 20 years ago. I remember we were all teaching freshman English, and there was one guy who had a PhD who was just kind of there doing his time, getting paid. And he said, the most important thing to remember is freshmen really love 14-point font, which is pretty big. And normally we had been using 10, which is pretty small. And he said, if you want good feedback, if you want your kids involved in your class, make your syllabus 14-point. And we're all like, what? It's insane. But then we tried it, put it up to 14, and it was easier to read. You can follow it better. It takes up more physical paper pages, which at that time is what you handed out. You didn't have anything digital, really. And it was really quite wonderful. So I've used that. Is small font better or big font? Always go for the big font. It's easier to read. Staying healthy and safe, taking one's temperature has become more common than it used to be in 2020. We know why. Coronavirus. A talking thermometer lets those who are visually impaired take their own temperature and hear the result. Also available in Spanish. Now this is fun. Uno Braille. Friends and family can now play the official version of the popular card game. And you can see the Braille dots right there on Uno. Uno is a fun game. Uno is a fun game to teach sign language, numbers. Numbers can be hard for students to learn. So if you can make it fun with a game, Uno has colors and numbers, directionality. Perfect for teaching. Wiki Sticks, the neon pack. Reusable, creative, fun. I don't know what this is. Oh, here it is. Wiki Sticks are a fun and constructive gift for younger children because they're an easy way to make educational recreational materials accessible for children who are blind or visually impaired. impaired. Okay. I'm not sure what that means. Does it tell you the color? Or maybe it's something that's sticky that isn't like, that isn't like glue or a staple or something that could hurt you, I guess. A beeping foam ball is a fun and interactive way for children to play and stay active. Oh, I get that. Soft foam balls are the ones offered by Maxier's are safe to use inside. Well, I get that. So you want to play catch with somebody, and you can't see the ball, but you can hear the ball. And it's nice, it's soft, it's spongy, Nerf-like. So it's easy to catch. And if you miss it and it bops you on the nose, it's not going to hurt you too bad. Love that idea. I've seen those also in football, so blind kids can kind of play a little bit of football. And this, pretty fun, Braille chocolate bars. Very interesting. What it says... It looks like it says, thank you. So do you eat the thank or do you eat the you first? I guess it's all determined by the directionality you take when it's time to chew and swallow. That's cute. Love that. So those are some holiday gifts for people with low vision and who happen to be blind. And this is a functional website where you can make the size, the font, bigger, and we're going to do that together right now. We'll just see how big we can go until we're told we can't go any higher. Okay, we're going bigger and bigger. Well, I said until we can't go any higher, so we'll just see how high we can go. Well, it's going to be endless. Choose our color. I'll pick purple. Highlight links. Okay. And we close this, and now this site is accessible. I made a big font. I made the background color purple. And all things you can click on are now highlighted in yellow. So let's see what's changed. So it takes a little longer to read, but it's much bigger. We like fonts, remember? Regular freshman, non-blind, non-visually impaired students. 14-point font. So there you have it. Braille gifts. Now, for something totally different. You know in the past that I drink a lot of protein drinks. Part of my diet, part of my workout regimen, my kettlebell routine. And there are a lot of mainstream, RTD, ready-to-drink protein drinks on the market. And that's wonderful. They're important. But people who tend to drink protein drinks want them to be very healthy, especially if you're going for the vegan, vegetarian kind. And they don't want a lot of calories or a lot of empty energy, which is sugar. A lot of the protein comes from peas or lentils or rice. So there has been an ongoing search for an appropriate sweetener that doesn't harm people and doesn't upset people. We've had sugar, we've had brown sugar, we've had blue agave, we've had brown sugar, pure cane sugar. Stevia was very big for a long time. Aspartame was one of the first artificial sweeteners. Then it became linked to cancer. Then people said, no, it's not linked to cancer at all. Go ahead and drink your diet drink. It's fine. Aspartame. So aspartame has made kind of a comeback because people did like the taste of aspartame. Well, the newest fun on the block is allulose, a low-calorie sugar. What is allulose? Well, let's look at it. Allulose is a low-calorie sugar with the same clean, sweet taste you expect from sugar. Soon you'll be able to find it in a wide range of foods and beverages to support a healthy lifestyle. Now, allulose is one of many different sugars that exist in nature in very small quantities. So it's initially identified from wheat and has since been found in certain fruits, including jackfruit, figs, and raisins. A little Janet break here, thank you. Allulose is naturally present in small quantities in a variety of sweet foods like caramel sauce, maple syrup, and brown sugar. A monosaccharide or simple sugar, allulose is absorbed by the body, but not metabolized, so it is nearly calorie-free. Excuse me, here's a little information graphic. That's the problem with having the windows open. The dry air comes in, dries out your throat. So allulose, here we go. Tastes like sugar. It bakes and freezes like sugar. Not counted as a sugar, which is odd, right? I would say a sweetener, not a sugar. I don't think it's a sugar, but it's calling itself a sugar. Has 1/10 the calories of regular sugar. It's diabetes friendly, very important. And it starts in nature, although it doesn't end in nature. Although allulose is a rare sugar, allulose is found in small quantities in raisins, figs, maple syrup, jackfruit, caramel sauce, and wheat. It can even be made from corn or other sources such as fructose. No, fructose. So allulose also, the reason it's very popular for manufacturers is that you can use a very little tiny bit of it and get a lot of bang for your buck. Now, here's a little more information about allulose. What is it and what do you need to know about it? Okay, so allulose is a rare sugar that naturally occurs. We just read about that. 70% as sweet as sugar. Okay, fair. 90% fewer calories than sucrose. Okay. The FDA states that allulose is generally recognized as safe. Now that's an important phrase, and you'll see it a lot when you're into these kind of healthy eating things. Grass, generally recognized as safe. Now some people have a big problem with that. They say, I don't want generally recognized as safe. I want it to be 100% safe. Well, you get into a car every day, you get onto a bus, you ride a bicycle. I think those are generally recognized as safe modes of transportation, especially if you're on a bike and you're wearing a helmet. If you're in a car, you're wearing a seatbelt. But there's no guarantee that you're not going to get into a crash, or someone's going to come up behind you and hit you from behind. You can't control that. Not 100% safe, but generally recognized as safe. So when the FDA says that something is generally recognized as safe, it's fine. Some people cling to that, though. So they know small amounts of allulose are not going to do any harm to people if they consume it. What I recommend with my patients is whatever they're using, whether it's natural sugar or any artificial sweetener, is that you do your best judgment and use it in small amounts in moderation. Because we don't want to rely on these artificial sweeteners too much. And that's kind of what I think. You know, if you're trying to get away from calories and sugar and that taste, why go artificial? Why add sugar anyway? Why not just take out the sugar? As we talked in a previous broadcast, some of those sweeteners that you squeeze into your water to make it taste sweeter actually makes you hungrier, especially if you're trying to diet or you're trying to not eat between meals. Because that sugary, sweet taste fires up your insides saying, something sweet's here, food's on the way, and your body gets all riled up and all hungry, all ready to eat. Because you're faking it out by drinking these drops that you add to your water, or even drinking like a diet soda. Or as we say in the Midwest, a diet pop. Because those things falsely alert your body that, hey, incoming, delicious food is on its way. And then it doesn't happen and your body freaks out. It gets very upset and you get a headache and you don't feel good and your blood sugar crashes and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what happened? I guess I need to have another diet soda. And what's interesting about allulose is that it is not metabolized by the body. It is absorbed by the small intestine. But then, here we go, actually excreted. What does that mean? Oh, I'm going to tell you. So none of the calories get absorbed or stored in your body. With the limited research that's been done, it's been found that allulose doesn't have any effects on blood sugars or an insulin response, which is very good and very important. Because even though what I just said, take the sugar out, especially if you're diabetic, people don't want to. People can't do it. People want their sugar. They want that sweet taste. Dora's here! Good morning. My mother loves Splenda. Yeah, Splenda's very popular. Is that equal? Equal and Splenda? Those are different things, I think. But people want sweet, especially if they've had a meal and it's heavy or sour or a lot of starches. They want to cleanse their palate with something that tastes a little bit sweet. Usually it's like a dessert or an ice cream or maybe a water-flavored drink. I guess that's important to a lot of people, to finish a meal with something sweet and feel that they have finished eating. And that is a problem for people who are diabetic. Okay, good. I should look that up. Splenda, are Splenda and equal similar? I'll look it up right now. This is why I love the Google. You just type in your question. You don't even have to think about it. You used to have Boolean searches. Splenda and equal, not, sugar. But now you just type in your question like you're a regular person. Splenda and equal, same thing. Splenda and equal and Splenda are artificial sweeteners used by diabetics and Weight Watchers. Now, why does they say it that way? Why can't regular people use this? As a sugar substitute to control sugar and calorie intake. Equal contains aspartame. Okay, I talked to you about that earlier. That was in Diet Coke a long time ago. Whereas Splenda contains sucralose. Now, aspartame has been widely disparaged, but we now believe aspartame is fine. Is yellow equal the same as Splenda? The yellow packet did contain sucralose, and the pink packet did contain saccharin. In that case, the court found that the yellow color scheme was inherently distinctive and that it acquired a secondary meaning. Oh, I guess it was some kind of lawsuit about sugar. Which is better? Equal, Sweet and Low, or Splenda? Both Splenda and Sweet and Low are much sweeter than sugar. Splenda is 600 times as sweet, while Sweet and Low has 300 to 500 times the sweetness of sugar. Both products are heat stable and can be used in baking goods, but only Splenda can replace sugar cup for cup. Well, that makes it easier to remember. You just do a straight replacement from sugar to Splenda. Now, I'm taking you back to this original page about this little bit that's kind of hidden in here about allulose, which is the whole point of this topic that I've been talking to you about for 10 minutes. What's interesting is that it is not metabolized by the body, allulose. It's absorbed by the small intestine, but then actually excreted. None of the calories get absorbed or stored in your body. Okay, that's good. You're trying to lose weight. You're a healthy person. You don't want to add any extra calorie if you don't have to, but you still want something sweet, so you're using allulose. Well, allulose is the new hot baby in these RTD drinks, these protein drinks. And people generally love them and, generally speaking, do not tolerate allulose well, especially if all they're doing is drinking RTDs or protein drinks and mixing them from powder. What do you mean? Well, some people just go straight RTD. I've done that. My wife has done that. We did that for like a year and a half straight. And what that meant, it looks like our ads just ran. Sorry if you're on the live stream and you're seeing ads. And what we did is we learned the hard way. Some people just have a regular meal and then like one RTD drink to sustain them and to build up their protein profile. That usually is fine, that works. But if you're going 100% RTD, and if your artificial sweetener happens to be allulose, and it is becoming very common now, I think it's cheaper to use. They can use a smidgen of it to get a big sugar shock. That allulose tends to, in my experience, and in reading the comments from many people online, and even some of my friends, and through personal experience, allulose tends to, as one person put it, give you nuclear farts. This one guy was saying, I just started this particular kind of RTD, has a lot of high protein, I'm very happy with it. My girlfriend has kicked me out of the bedroom saying you are no longer allowed to drink that because of your nuclear farts. You clean out the room. And he said, I know, I don't know what's wrong with me. And you get in the groups and they say, well, you're trying a new RTD, give it a day or two, give it 3 or 4 days. Your body will get used to it, drink one drink a day, mix it with regular food, then, you can go, some go 3, 4, 5 drinks a day. But it never really clears up because, I believe, allulose is not metabolized by the body. It's absorbed by the small intestines, but actually excreted. Now, it can be excreted in your poopy, or I believe the remnants, the aroma, the after effect can be excreted through a nuclear fart. And the people who are on these protein drinks kind of know that if they drink them, you've got to drink them, you've got to be very careful what you do the next hour because you're going to be farting all day and all night. Now you can try to take Gas-X or Beano or some other kind of thing to knock down that gas, but because the gas is not really happening in your stomach, it's absorbed as allulose by the small intestine and then actually gotten rid of, excreted by your body in some way, pooping or farting. You're going to have a very hard time. If you work alone and you stream all by yourself, who cares if your farts are nuclear? But if you're in a work situation, a teaching situation, a situation where you have to be around people unpredictably, where you can't really easily excuse yourself to go, do a little crop dusting in the hallway before you come back to your meeting. If people pop in and see you unexpectedly and you're in the middle of ridding yourself of allulose from your small intestine, look out. Because there's no such thing as SBD, farts with allulose. Silent but deadly. No. There is no silence, it's very loud, but it is deadly. Nuclear, as they say. So beware of allulose. You may tolerate it just fine. Some people tend to. But in my experience, 85-90% of the people who use these allulose sweeteners have a problem with really terrible gassy farts. And that's my high point for the day. And now it's time to take a small break. And I will see you in a moment. back from break. David Bowles here on Bowles TV. Interesting, bright, sunny day on the East Coast. Nice after getting a little bit of snowfall a couple of days ago. Well, before the break, we talked a little bit about allulose and its effect on the body. And there was a hard break, advertising break, that I could not start. I missed it myself. So if you're watching the live stream, beware of allulose if you find it in an RTD, a ready-to-drink drink for protein or nutrition, because it does tend to make you fart a lot. And the companies don't want to talk about that. They'll say, oh, your system is getting used to it. And your system, some systems tend not to really ever get used to it. And that's okay if you're at a time and a space where you know after you drink your drink and the allulose makes its way through your small intestine, that you have a place where you can get rid of the smell, if you know what I mean, safely and not having to be around other people. So keep that in mind. Listen to other people, listen to your body, listen to your friends. And that guy I told you about whose girlfriend said you're not allowed to drink that anymore because it gives you nuclear farts. He went to the group and said, what do I do? And they said, there's nothing you can do. That's what it does. And he said, you mean I have to give this up? I'm losing so much weight. They said, well, your girlfriend can't tolerate it, and who can blame her for that? She doesn't want to smell your farts all night long. What are you going to do? So he gave it up. It's a sad thing. But the companies will never admit that. Now we take a small detour into the past just for a moment, because it's so interesting how the internet becomes a time machine, intentionally and unintentionally. When I was in radio many years ago in Lincoln, Nebraska, there was one station that if you were in high school was very hepcat, as nobody used to say when I was younger. I say cool a lot, and people now recognize that as, oh, my dad says that. That's an old saying. I don't mind saying cool. The cool place to work and listen if you were in radio was KFMQ 102 KFMQ in Lincoln, Nebraska. It was in the terminal building, downtown Lincoln. And what was really interesting about KFMQ is that it was AOR, which means album-oriented rock. They were an FM station, which at that time meant that the sound was really, really good. If you had a good stereo, you could turn it up, and it was beautiful, beautiful music. And there were not a lot of stations at that time that were playing that kind of, not hard rock, album-oriented rock, where sometimes they would just play a whole album, one side, the other side, with no talking in between. And that was sort of the code phrase for, hey, get your cassette tapes ready, because I'm going to play this whole album for you, and you record it, and I'm not going to tell anybody, and you're not going to tell anybody, but you're going to get a free copy of this album. It was a bit of a problem. And there was no advertising. They would just play the whole album. AOR, album-oriented rock. So they wouldn't just play the hits, they'd play the deeper cuts. And KFMQ was in the basement of the terminal building, which I found really interesting because they were in the basement of the terminal building. You went inside the doors, and then you took a hard left, and then you went downstairs, and then you took another hard right, and you went downstairs, and then you were in the studios of KFMQ. And most radio stations in Lincoln, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, were above ground. KFOR, you could look out the window, see the weather. KLIN, broadcast house. Near 56 and Oaks, look out the window. KBHL, big window, used to be a library. X103, look out the window, same floor as KFOR. And not that it's important to have to look out the window or be above ground, but when you want to be an AOR station and you're underground and there's no light and no windows, and you go into the studio and it's absolutely pitch black with only a light or two, it's very intriguing, especially when you're young and you think, oh my gosh, this is cool. And I had friends who worked there, and I would go visit them. And I just was looking up KFMQ. They used to have homegrown albums to support their listeners, where they would take local artists, make an album, and release it and sell it. It was really very neat. And a lot of stations did try to do something like that with making their own albums. And Matt Sweet, who is a very good musical artist, well known throughout the business, is from Lincoln, Nebraska, and he appeared. Sidney Matthew Sweet, American alternate rock power pop musician, born October 6, 1964. KFMQ was a Lincoln, Nebraska FM radio station. The Specs group featured a young Matt Sweet. Okay, cool. You're getting the vibe. This is the best version I could find of the FM 102 KFMQ logo, which I loved. And they had this logo with those specific colors. Not this looks like it's their letterhead. Terminal Building, Lincoln, Nebraska. But the FM 102 KFMQ is in those circles. Was a semiotic, an image that you saw often in Lincoln, Nebraska. And they would take that neon, it was kind of neon colors, logo, and put it on a black shirt. And then you go under a black light, and the whole thing would light up. It was absolutely fantastic. That is the KFMQ that you remember from your childhood. And then things slowly began to change. And as you can see up here, KFMQ 102, Nebraska's rock and roll legend, is what they sort of became. That's not AOR. Now, this is what I was telling you about the internet, where you do a search for KFMQ, and a page like this pops up, and you look at it, if you've been a web designer and if you've been on the internet for a few years, and you say, oh my God. This page has probably been around online since, 1990? This is an early web page that was put up and left up. It's not even secure, as you can see. It's an insecure website. There's no navigation on the left side. The colors are in teal, and even if you highlight it, you can't read it. You can't read any of it. I would like to read this, but I just don't have the patience. But it rocks you back to what the internet used to be via a radio station that you used to listen to. So I showed you this fabulous logo, FM 102 KFMQ, and that's how they pronounced KFMQ, by the way, KFMQ. And this is what it became, this logo, Q102, no. Most music, no. Q102, no. And this is the KFMQ that I really remember. At one time, around 1975-85, the lineup included Bob Rosell in the morning, Tian Bjarkir, who would eventually join the Eagle radio station middays, Bob Allen in the afternoon, Dale Richards at night, and Mike Zangari overnights. And then I guess one day in the 90s, they suddenly became a country station, which is what happens with these stations. I guess AOR became unimportant in the 90s because people had the internet beginning. They had CDs. They didn't need to record their albums at home on a cassette anymore. They could just go into the record store and buy a CD and have the whole thing right in the palm of their hand. And between their fingers, they could hold the entire album. So why should I waste my time listening to an entire side of an album on KFMQ when I could do that myself at home on my nice, beautiful stereo? But it makes you a little sad for things that are lost and things that are missing, and experiences that you can never have again. And this whole search was topped off by this. The Friday Morning Quarterback Album Report. This one is from 1985. And this one gets sent to record stations all over America. And it would tell you what's going on, what they think they want to have happen in promoting new acts and pushing new songs. Now, can you read black print on red? No, nobody can. But this is the hot stuff, the hot page. Can't even read it, so I'm going to scroll by it. But what's most interesting about this is the advertising. These were sent out free to the stations, and you can see they're stapled. But they were still supported by the record companies, because the record companies knew if they could get on these radio stations, they could push a hit song. So Paul Young has 2 new songs coming out. The Outfield has a new song coming out. Then these are the hot songs coming up, and who the PR contact is, and what stations are running them. And the thinking was, well, if you're in a small town in the Midwest and you want to be hepcat, go see what Chicago's playing. What's the #1 song in New York? Los Angeles has what song? And then you would imitate them and become a big town by playing the same music that they played. I don't think it was really true, but that was the idea. Asia, do you remember that band? New album on Astra. 1985. Song indexes. Paul McCartney. We've been talking about Paul for a week. There he is, a new song, Spies Like Us. It's a new single from the Warner Brothers movie of the same name. Big Bob Dylan, still around, still touring. And this is what they did, a show of strength. These are all the new ads, editions, not advertising, editions of the song across America. And these are all very big, important stations. If you're in bold, you're more important than the smallers. And this is how they would try to affect people, program directors, to add a song. Starship, we built this city, remember that? Jefferson Airplane, then became Jefferson Starship, then just Starship. Mr. Kyrie. My friend Devin and I would go around and around about the lyrics. I would say Kyrie, and I would sing it wrong, and he would correct me and say it was actually a prayer. And he was right. But it was still fun to play with him. The Dirt Alert. What's going on, the nitty-gritty, the gossip. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Jeff Beck. A misbehavior. New Rock Climbers, 1985. In Excess, new band. Hey, Roger Daltrey has a new song. Mike and the Mechanics. It's all starting to come back. It catapults you from killings in Michigan back to a simpler time, where you could listen to Simple Minds or Sting, Bryan Adams. And this would just go on, and you would read it and read it and read it. And it was a lot of fun. Now, totally changing gears for just a moment, today is a big day in front of the Supreme Court as Roe v. Wade comes under what many people think is going to be an attack by a packed right-wing Supreme Court. And no matter what is decided, this is just going to, I believe, rip apart the country in very awful and ugly and unsustainable ways. And I'll share with you what I think that means. The significance of Roe v. Wade, some people don't know. We have international audience here, and some people may not know exactly what it means. But Roe v. Wade gave a woman in America the federal right to have an abortion if she so chose that path. And there are people who think that that has been wrongly decided for 50 years. In the years before Roe was decided, there were over 1 million illegal abortions performed in the U.S. annually. After Roe, that number remains around 1 million, performed legally and safely, some would argue. Plus, the rate of deaths occurring as the result of abortions dropped dramatically in the years following Roe. So that's an argument to be made that before Roe, there were 1 million abortions, and they were back alley abortions and quiet abortions. Unless you were rich and well-connected, then you could have any abortion you wanted. But if you were poor and you didn't have any money, you had to go your own way and figure it out on your own. And then after Roe was made legal, the number of abortions stayed the same, which is very interesting because there are people who say, oh boy, they made abortion legal and now all these babies are being killed. Well, it turns out that there was no increase. The only thing that changed was the legality of the process and the safety of the process. The legality protected the women and the right to make a decision about her own body, and it could be safely done in a hospital or a doctor's setting. It didn't have to be done in the back alley with a coat hanger, or lie, or some young women would throw themselves down the stairs. I even knew a young woman in the 80s, way back in Nebraska, who thought she was pregnant. She was deeply Catholic. She couldn't do a pregnancy test because she didn't have the money and she didn't really want to know, but I guess she felt that something was inside of her. And while she did not commit suicide, she did not throw herself down a flight of stairs, she did tell me that she regularly punched herself in the abdomen for an hour each night before she went to bed. And why would she do that? Well, she was trying to kill whatever was inside of her so that it would come out of her body. And she couldn't tell her parents. She couldn't tell her friends. She couldn't go to the doctor. She didn't have insurance. She didn't know what to do. Because her family was Catholic and her friends were Catholic, and they would all say, by God, God gave you a baby, you have that baby. Even if it's out of wedlock, even if it's a bastard. But she didn't want to have a baby. And in the end, I do not believe she was pregnant, or maybe something happened where she did not remain pregnant. I don't know. I didn't ask. The information was not offered. So many of these hurtful, terrible things that happen to people quickly become forgotten because it's easy to know that if you need a medical procedure in America, you can get one. But there are certain elements in America that do not want women to have that choice. And it could be a very dangerous thing that's about to happen with the Supreme Court. Either way it goes, there are not going to be any winners, unless things just remain the same. But I don't believe they will remain the same. There's going to be a big change. And conservatives are especially excited of overturning Roe v. Wade. And it makes you wonder why, just a little bit. And we know why. But a lot of these people who want these women to not stand in line, but to get in line and to follow orders, happen to be male and not really female. And I think that's a problem. Not only of perception, but of equity and belonging and yearning, that these men think that they can tell these women how it's going to be. And most of the women I know don't want that kind of life for themselves or for their friends or for their children or their daughters or their stepdaughters. But we're on an authoritarian swing right now in the United States, where children are killed in their classrooms and fetuses are given more standing than a child dying on the operating table from being shot by a classmate. We have a hard break coming up for an ad roll, so I'm going to start that and then come back and complete these thoughts and take the next step and see what you think. Back in one moment. We are back from our break. Thank you for being here. Bowles TV, Bowles.tv. David Bowles with you, having a wonderful time, talking about a lot of interesting, difficult topics today. And I thank you so much for being here. We're not done. Oh, we have so much to get to. I hope we get to it. We'll see. So continuing our conversation about Roe, just because it's in the news today, because it's being argued today, there's no denying that this whole issue is political now. I guess it always has been. And John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, has a lot on his mind, I'm sure. Justice Roberts represents more than one vote among the 9. As chief, he steers the discussion of Roe v. Wade. If he's in the majority, he also assigns the opinion that will speak for the court. Further, Roberts has tried to inspire public confidence in the federal judiciary and repeatedly argued that its opinions reflect justice's neutral, impartial views rather than any political instincts. I'm not so sure about that. Polls show that public approval of the court has dropped in recent months. Notably since September 1st, when the majority allowed a Texas ban on abortions after roughly 6 weeks of pregnancy to take effect, even as litigation over that law plainly conflicts with Roe v. Wade. Roberts broke from his colleagues on the right wing in that case, dissenting as he wrote that courts should at least temporarily suspend the ban. So, who knows? And this music that's playing is just really fantastic for this topic. It's very scary. It's supposed to be quiet ambience. From Slip.Stream. I think it's a little more than that. But now we get into an interesting point about Roe that I read yesterday. This is written by Sarah Jones. It's a little blurb from her longer article, which I highly recommend in New York Magazine. And her idea was, it's not possible to be a pro-life feminist. Very interesting. It's impossible. And she came to that hard realization, and this is part of how she explains why she believes that. Because she did believe that it was possible to be pro-life and to be a feminist. And she said this: I became persuaded that my body belonged to me, that I was sovereign over it, and that nothing should make use of it without my permission. She's talking about the fetus inside of her. And if I felt this way about myself, that I should be in charge and I should decide what's inside of me, how could I deny that same power to others? Women had been and were still oppressed. Should the state force them to incubate children against their will? They could never be equal citizens. That is what the anti-abortion movement argues. The body of a fetus, even before viability, takes precedence over that of the person who bears it. There is a violence here, buried even in the most enlightened sounding rhetoric. For all the anti-abortion movement tries to sell its commitment to the well-being of women, its beliefs, when reduced to their most basic elements, are undeniably misogynistic. That's powerful stuff, and very hard to argue with. These conservatives, especially in the vaccine and mask mandate, oh, no, you don't tell me what to do with my body. I decide what goes in my body. I don't want to have a vaccine. You can't tell me what to put over my nose. No, it's my body, my decision. But when it's the other way around, and a woman wants to make a choice about her body, if a rape or a mistake was made and she wants to terminate a pregnancy, oh, no, 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 not your body. The baby's body. The baby's body trumps the mother's body. Which is me, as a man, and what the hell do I know, never made any sense to me at all. But that is what's at stake with this Supreme Court decision. And if Roe is overturned, there is going to be a cleaving in America that is going to be something like we have never seen in a generation. And some people say, well, that'll be great. That'll be good for Democrats. Finally, they'll wake up and realize what the heck's going on around them. Republicans have been trying for 50 years to get this right to choose away from women. And when I was younger and involved in this conversation, my body, my choice hypocrites, Dora, absolutely. It's really fascinating to see the logical and emotional disconnect. And I guess, in college, I believe it was, made the mistake of saying I'm pro-abortion. And the women in the room very quickly corrected me and said, David, you're not pro-abortion. You're pro-choice. And I looked at them and I said, oh, I got the wording wrong. I said, but what's the difference? And they said, David, this is not about being pro-abortion. You're not for the killing of babies. You are for a woman to choose if she wants to have a baby or not have a baby. And I wasn't being difficult. I didn't know. I knew that I was in favor of a woman's right to choose an abortion, but I didn't know the politically correct term was not pro-abortion. You are pro-choice. They are pro-life. We are pro-choice. We are not pro-abortion. Okay. So I learned the lesson the hard way. Now I know better. And that whole conversation leads me around to this other conversation that I had that's sort of similar, but not directly applicable to Roe v. Wade. Oh, Dora, how about taking care of world poverty and hunger? How many children die and are abused daily? Absolutely right. They want to protect the fetus, but the second that baby is alive in the world, they don't want anything to do with it. Not my problem, your problem. You got pregnant, I didn't get pregnant. I know you were raped by your father. Not my problem now. I protected that baby and got it out of you. Now you deal with it. The state's not going to pay for that. I'm not going to pay for that with my hard-earned tax dollars. You figure it out. Now, if you're going to be pro-choice, pro-life and babies are everything, well, then you have to take care of that baby from when it's born until it's dead. That's what that has to mean. And you can't be for state-sponsored murder. You really shouldn't be pro-gun because it's all those things are anti-life. How can you execute somebody and be pro-life? Doesn't make sense. So I was having a conversation, and when I was having this conversation, I remembered back to my college days where I made the mistake of being pro-abortion instead of pro-choice. And I said, this was an online conversation a few years ago, and we were having a conversation about religion and feminism. And this one woman started attacking me. And she was a Muslim. And she said, well, I'm a Muslim and I'm a feminist. And I said, wait a minute. And I wasn't trying to be difficult, but I was trying to be inquisitive. And she took it the wrong way, which is okay, because it's online, it's text, and you can't tell tone. But I said, how can you be a Muslim woman and be a feminist? Which is what this other woman, this Sarah Jones, is arguing, that you cannot be a feminist and be pro-life. I said, how can you be a feminist and be a Muslim? She said, well, I believe in women's rights. I said, but wait a minute. The very foundations of your religion, as I understand it, as a white man from Nebraska, and please correct me if I'm wrong in my understanding, is separation of the sexes. Women cover themselves. When we go to pray together, women go in this door, men go in that door. They don't mix. When we are praying in our mosque, men are here, women are over there. Please explain to me how you can be a feminist Muslim. Well, all of that's just part of our religion, but wait a minute. But feminism is about equal opportunity, equal treatment, without any distinction between gender. Women are just as good as men in every respect. That is the credo, that is the point of feminism in that. And she said, but I am. You don't think I am, but I am. I said, do you cover your head? Yes, I do. I said, are you allowed to go in the men's entrance into the mosque when you go to pray? No, I am not. Are you allowed, if you wanted to go sit and pray with the men in your mosque? No, I am not. Why? Because it's not allowed. And I said, exactly. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, you're not equal. And that's your choice. That's your religion. That's what you believe. You cover your head. A man does not have to cover his head. A man can go in the men's door, but a woman cannot go in the men's door. That's not equal. That's not feminism. I don't think it's correct to call yourself a Muslim feminist and believe very strongly in the religion and all the things that we just said you can't do as a woman. And you cannot do these things that we talked about because you are a woman. You are being discriminated against by your requirements of your religion. And she did not see it that way. She saw herself as very forward-thinking. And I said, I understand that. I respect what you're trying to do. I just don't understand the logic of it. So that's how we left that conversation. I don't know if she won or if I won or if nobody won. I think nobody really wins that conversation. But it's interesting and I find slightly dangerous. Because you have one group of people believing one thing very strongly, and you have another group of people believing something else just as strongly, and they are different realities. Her reality is that in the confines of her religion, the restrictions of her religion, she's a free thinker. And my understanding of feminism and equality means that there is no differentiation between male or female. Everyone is thought of and treated the same, and at least an effort is made to make that equalization possible. There are not rules and demands that make it impossible to do because of rhetoric or because of something that was written a long time ago. And now that swings us right back around to Roe versus Wade. And we have the same problem. You have one group of people saying I'm a pro-life feminist, and you have the other side saying, wait a minute. If you're telling me what I can do with my body, if I have to keep my pregnancy or not keep my pregnancy, that is not feminism. That is something else. And they're going around and around and around and around and around on that. And it will never end. And John Roberts in the Supreme Court is not going to decide how that ends. They're going to decide something very narrow and very specific. And it's going to be very dangerous for America. I have a sense that John Roberts wishes that he did not have to deal with this today. I think he knows that there is no winning on this topic. And this same argument was made 30 years ago to the Supreme Court. And it was denied. It was rejected. And the state went back and said, well, we have a Trump court now. Now let's see what happens. Now let's take a look at what we can really, really do to get our way, to get these women under control, which is what it's about. Abortion doesn't control men. Abortion controls women. And my thought has always been, and I've thought about this quite a bit, that if something that is inside of you cannot sustain itself without you, then it's your decision. And some people, oh, life is sustainable after a month of pregnancy. Well, I don't believe that's to be true. And the sign of life, the indicator of life in modern medicine, has always been the ability to sustain a breath. And if a fetus cannot breathe on its own outside of the mother's body, then that is not a viable life. Now we've expanded that with fetal heartbeats and vaginal probes and brain activity. Can you breathe on your own? And again, going around the circle, in this pandemic we're in, the sign of life, if you're infected with COVID-19, is your ability to breathe. Can you breathe without the help of a ventilator? Do you have to be flipped on your stomach so you can take a breath? And I'm not saying this to be smart, but there's a little bit of a relevance there, a little bit of a congruity of ideas between the fetus who cannot breathe outside of the mother and the anti-vaccine person who will not take a shot to feel better about their body and who suddenly cannot take a breath on their own without the assistance of the state, without the assistance of outside help. So we live in a complicated world, and we always have. And what's missing in America today that we had in the 70s was the calm middle. You've always had extremists on the right. You've always had extremist radicals on the left. And we've usually always had a great big group of people in the middle who could see both sides and who said, "Leave me alone, I'm watching football." Now, how do we get back to that? Back to, let's just split the baby. The old saying says. Do a little bit of yours, a little bit of yours, and let's have a potato chip. We've lost that meandering middle, don't bother me with all this stuff. I just want to get up, go to work, come home, play with my kids, watch television. That is the life that I want. I don't want to be upset every day. I don't want to worry about a pandemic. I don't want to hear about women's rights. I don't want to hear about stealing elections. I want to be left alone so I can enjoy the few days that I have on this earth. And I think a lot of people thought that when they voted for Joe Biden, that was kind of going to happen, that everything would kind of calm down on the edges and the middle could go back to some quiet time. And I believe Joe Biden has tried to do that, but it's really impossible in this current state we're in, where people are saying that elections are stolen and we need more guns and let's go shoot people and let's take their identities offline because Twitter is on the side of the shooter and not on the side of the victim. Theoretically, if you missed our first conversation about Twitter and privacy in the first hour of this live stream. So it's been a wonderful day. I hope we can find ourselves in the middle together, respect each other, what I call the passionate mind and the intellectual heart, where you can hold two different and divergent ideas in your mind at the same time and find value in each of them. The passionate mind, the intellectual heart. Not everybody is good and bad. Not everybody is drawn in just stark black and dark white. There has to be a middle ground. There has to be a way to get along so we don't kill each other in the process of trying to live our lives. And that's what this live stream is about. We talk about moral equity and we talk about the goodness of your soul. And we hope not too much of it is based in rhetoric or in lies or in some kind of diversion. We hope we're finding the truth somewhere in all of this. And perhaps we have, and perhaps we haven't, and maybe we will or we won't. But it's the process of trying every day. And I thank you for being here. It's been a wild 2 hours. We've talked about many things. I apologize for not getting to the HPV topic. It's very interesting. I'm not going to short shrift it. I'm also not going to short shrift finding cancer through artificial intelligence. It's too good. It's too important. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Until then, please subscribe, if you're watching us live right now, to Bowles.tv, Bowles TV on Twitch. You can find us online on Twitter at David Bowles, Facebook /Bowles, Instagram Bowles Books. Always interested in chatting with you. And if you can join our live chat, that's even better because you can have a direct, live, real-time conversation. Thank you, Dora. You have a good day, too. It's been wonderful spending some time with you. I appreciate your feedback, as always. I hope your microwaved eggs turned out all right yesterday. Jen and I thought about you last night. We're trying to think, well, how could you microwave all kinds of different eggs? Then we had all kinds of different theories. So I don't know if this is going to become a regular for you or if you're just experimenting one day, but we're very happy to know you. And to try to figure out this world. Oh, you haven't tested your eggs yet. Well, when you do, let us know. And maybe video it and send it to me. And we'll put it on the live stream and have a lovely conversation. Yes, video. That's what I told Jan. I said, look, you're out in the world a lot more than I am. I'm stuck here. You always find good stuff. Just take a little video of something, and we'll put it on the live stream. And this morning she did. She left early, and she took the beautiful photographs of the flowers. I'm going to find that and share it again, because it's so delightful. It makes my day. So she sent me this little video, and she said, okay, here's a video for you. Go ahead and show the video. I said, I want something like this from you every day. And she hasn't responded, because I know what she's going to say. But here's her little video. Journal Square 1 from the lobby. The lovely poinsettias. Makes you happy. It makes your day. And this December 1st, which is, they just put these out. Holiday decorations are up. Jan Marie is taking it in. We love red. And she's sharing video. It's just totally delightful. And you can hear the sounds of the lobby. There's our lobby. The lovely greens. It's just delicious. Oh my gosh, Dora. Now that's interesting. It's your birthday? Is that what you're saying? My eyes are bad. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, Dora. Oh, flowers for Dora. I love that. You must be 18 years old now. But I know you have a beautiful son, so... Oh, maybe I'm saying too much. Just turned 26, let's say that. Young at heart. Evil of mind, but young of heart. I'm talking about me, not you. So that's a very good question. Do you send it to you on stream or as a DM today as my birthday? Okay, so that's very interesting. If you have some interesting, fun video to send it in the highest possible quality. Oh my gosh, Jana Books is here. She's been quiet the whole show. She won't say one word to me, but she'll talk to Dora. Now I find that a little bit concerning, but not really. I'm happy Jana Books is here. So take the highest possible quality video, the highest setting possible. Save it on your phone or whatever you're using. And then you need to email it to me at the highest possible setting. Now, on an iPhone, that means it's probably going to be sent to the cloud, and I download it from the cloud, and then I run it from here up because it gives us better quality. Or, yeah, it has to be sent to me. A DM, I don't think it's gonna lower the quality. That's one thing I've learned, is when you send video through a message system, either iPhone or Google or whatever, it cuts down to the lowest quality. So to preserve the highest definition quality, it's better to keep it pristine on your phone and email it to me, david@bowles.com. Making a note. I got to get bowles.tv email set up somehow, right? I got to work on that. So you get that set up and email it to me, and then I should be able to download it at a high quality. Or, like if you have Google, you can save it to Google, and then I think Google will allow you to share a video and then send me that link, and I can download it that way. Or if you're fancier and you use Dropbox or a cloud storage system, you can share the link with me and I can go download it that way. Or if you don't know what you're doing and you're very confused and you only know how to do a DM, then do it that way. That's fine too. We'll figure it out. Video is very fun. We used to be images, right? In blog posts. Find the right image. Social media. Find the right image. Put up the image. Doing a podcast. Images don't work. Just describe it with your words. But boy, live stream's different. You should put images up, but you don't want the image. You want something that's moving, so you can see how it's all coming together. And that's why we're searching our archives for interesting things to share when we're ready to do a live stream, because something moving is much more interesting than something staying static. So these are good questions. Wonderful ways to think about the world and try to figure things out and what's happening. And it's a very complicated world. But we'll make it through together. Happy birthday, Dora. We adore you. Jana and I. Jana Marie, it's so wonderful to see you. In text, as always. Oh, I should say hello in text. Hi, Jana Marie. Love the video. Jana, if you don't know, is my beautiful wife of 33 years. Hey there, baby. And she's also our ASL expert, where every Friday, at least every Friday, she gives a wonderful, in-depth, but easy to understand lesson in American Sign Language. And that's why we like to chat with Jana in text, so she can be part of our stream. I can say that here and not get in too much trouble. If I say it in person, then I get a look. I'm just kidding. She's very good with the video. Oh, that's so wonderful. And she takes a lot of very interesting video. I have a lot of video that I'm storing. That I'm not storing, that I'm having queue, waiting to share. Over the years, she's been taking little videos. And they're they cement a certain time in a certain space. And now I think this is officially the longest stream we have done so far, which is a wonderful and delightful accomplishment. And we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have your help. So thank you so much for being here. We will see you tomorrow, bright and early, 9 a.m. Eastern, every day of the workday. Thank you so much.